Hello, everybody. Welcome to Division 10C REL's recap. We're looking at Week 5 for 10C. This is Volpus and Colta, your host. Unfortunately, I will not have my co-host Chopsu with us tonight. He will not be available. However, we do have a special guest, and we are looking at your table leader, Atomics. Atomics, thank you so much for joining me tonight. How you doing this evening?
Yep, doing awesome. How's everyone doing tonight? Hope everyone's well.
Fantastic, man. That's great. Do you actually watch any of the recaps that we've put out so far?
Yeah, I've watched every single one. I'm always waiting for them.
Ah, fantastic! That's great. You know, I've been trying to figure out the best time to release them. Ideally, we get these done on Wednesdays nights. I know just kind of how our schedules lined up that we had to do it tonight, Thursday night. But when do you usually watch them? And do you usually catch it on Reddit or just within the Discord?
Yeah, I'm just watching on Reddit, but I generally see them the day that they're released.
Nice. I've been trying to figure out the best time to release them. I don't want to release them too late because I feel like sometimes people, if they're on the Discord, will miss it. So, still trying to find that fine balance. This is my first time being a sports reporter. So,
Definitely.
Thank you so much for joining me, man. I really do appreciate it. I think it makes the recaps a lot better. So, we'll go ahead and just start off with a couple questions for you. I guess just one of the most basic questions is. Where did you learn about Blood Bowl and how did you get into the game itself?
How I heard about Blood Bowl, just was bored and looking for games and looking through like my friends, like the games they played, and I saw one guy played Blood Bowl and I watched some on YouTube and I was sold. So.
Ah, fantastic! What draws you in? Is it the Warhammer universe? Is it the strategy? Is it the dice? What makes you actually interested in the game itself?
Yeah, so I was always like interested in Warhammer, but never really played it. Like I played D&D and stuff growing up, all that with my older brother and stuff. But just it's wacky and there's a lot of skill involved. So just a good combination of fun and luck.
Yeah, no doubt, man. So, what is this your first season within REBBL?
No, I played last season. I played Goblins, and I ended up going like 500, which I think is a success. But
my gosh,
I wanted a chance to actually win. So
I didn't realize that you played Goblins last year, man. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah,
brave of you.
I got like some awesome level ups and everything, but it's just you can only do so much.
No, yeah, Goblins are rough. I saw, where did I see this? It was some post where someone was listing I think I saw it on Twitter, but someone was listing all the races and their win percentages, and I think Goblin was below every single other race, even Ogres and Halflings. It was, it's tough sledding with Goblins.
Yeah, they're fun. That's probably the team I've played the most. Like, first starting the game, like, playing like the most powerful teams, I kind of wanted to like learn with the disadvantage. It kind of makes you, I think it made me better quicker.
It really does. And playing with the stunty teams, it's you try to get your advantages, you try to get your assists, you really appreciate the two-way blocks, right? So it's that's awesome, man. So within 10C, I will say if there's one thing that's missing within the division is that there aren't really any stunty teams. We do have Grendel running the underworld, but man, those guys can bring the pain if they have to. So no stunty teams in the division, but we won't dive into your team just yet. We'll save that towards the end of the matchup. So I think the first thing that we're gonna do is look at Week 4 and kind of dive to kind of each game by game and try to get your opinion and look at the stats here. So the first one we have up is going to be Chaos's Famous Wizards versus the PDX Bosco Stump Force, and we got a 1-1 draw here. I watched them just briefly. It was kind of a typical matchup where the Dwarves were able to receive the ball and just kind of grind down the Elves in the first half. They were able to kind of score on turn 8, put together a really good offensive drive. Second half, the Elves were able to equalize fairly quickly, and the Dwarves just didn't have enough time to try to put up the second score to take the win. So
They're so slow.
they really are so slow. It is so tough to two-turn with dwarves. So ideally, you have at least 3 turns if you need to get another score in. Looking at the quickly just the stats: 60 blocks generated by the dwarves, 3 KOs, 2 injuries, 1 kill. I wasn't quite sure which individual died on the elves team, but they did inflict 1 death. One thing that's interesting is 35 blocks for the elves, no KOs and no injuries. So AV9 really coming into play there. You would expect at least 1 removal, but didn't quite happen for them. Quickly looking at the SPP, not great for either team. You know, anytime you run into dwarves, it's kind of a pain in the ass to try to generate some SPP. You're kind of looking at the MVP and the touchdown. Looked like a couple passes got in for the elves. For the dwarves, they got a touchdown MVP and a couple Kaz's, so a little bit better on their side. Quickly looking at the block dice here, pretty even distributed for the famous wizards. For Stump Force, 32 pals versus the 28 skulls. A lot of pushes for them, 46 total pushes. A lot of pushes on the dwarf side. But overall, it was a 1-1 tie. Probably not the most exciting game that anyone has seen. I feel like that kind of plays in the favor of the dwarves. And we can actually see when we do a little sneak peek of diving into next week's game that the dwarves have already got their game in. They played earlier today. So the next one up is we have the rowdy Rebel Rouses, coached by Atomics, facing off against a few Ornery Oninus. And so this is obviously your matchup here. So before I do a deep dive into your match, do you know what an Oninist is?
No, I have no idea.
No? All right. I'm going to leave that to you and the viewers to Google that. So kind of leave that for a little surprise. So it's actually a hilarious team name once you actually look it up. So I was able to watch the replay of your game. I'm going to try to give a kind of a quick recap here, or kind of dive into it a little bit. First thing we saw is that kind of right off the bat, I believe is either a perfect defense or something happened earlier in the game that they allowed the elves to put a lot of pressure into your backfield. I think by turn 2, I think there was maybe 7 or 8 elves that were already into your backfield, which is never ideal as a kind of a slow-moving control team like Nurgle. When something like that happens, to where either a blitz occurs or an early turnover on your turn 1, what's kind of your thought process when you have so many elves kind of storming your backfield?
It's something that is obviously bad, but you can actually end up turning into your advantage if you can just keep them from getting the ball away. Like, they'll end up coming into your tackle zones, and you'll get tons of blocks on them when they're trying to get the ball, and like I'll add an assist and stuff. So just because their armor is so much lower, like I don't mind trading hits all day. So
yeah, you know, that's exactly how you responded. Also, is what we saw was the first half you didn't score. There was a couple times that the elves were able to pick up the ball. There was a couple times that you picked up the ball. A couple times that the ball was able to get loose after hitting the ball carrier. So you weren't able to actually score in the first half, but what you did do is remove 5 elves off the field, and it
nice.
Yeah, it allowed you to start the second half with an 11-6 advantage. So, all right. So now on the flip side of this, you're playing defense. You're kicking off to the elves, but you have a 5-man advantage. What's your setup like, and what's your thought process diving into the second half?
I'd probably just leave one guy back and everyone else real close. Just be really aggressive on them because they can't do much. So try to get them down, get a free and where they can't get the ball, and just ride the timeout, not trying to score 2 touchdowns. So.
No, I think that's play kind of a conservative approach. I think that was smart. So when I was watching this game, the second half was incredibly surprising because I think it was either turn 9 or turn 10. The elves punted the ball into your own backfield. They grabbed the ball instead of trying to form some sort of offensive drive. They try to beat you down to your field. Have you ever seen something like that before playing in a game?
Yeah, I always want them to let me control that ball. The elves are so hard to catch.
Yeah, I was surprised. I feel like that played a little bit into your hands. the Pimple Jams, the coach, punted the ball, was hoping to try to take some advantage of being able to outrun your guys, but it ultimately didn't work. It was a kind of an easy recovery for you. And then you marched down the left-hand side of your field from your perspective. I believe there was a couple dice rolls on his part to be able to pop the ball free from one of your Pestigores, but right there to recover was one of your Nurgle Warriors, who I think actually Kaz the guy earlier in the game. So it was one of your versions of the Horny Cricket Nurgle Warriors who were able to pick up the ball.
Yeah,
yeah,
a miracle.
Yeah, and from there it was too tough for him to kind of generate attack. And I think by turn 13, you kind of just suffocated the elves to the point where they kind of did a little bit of a soft concede there to protect his players for the next match.
Yeah, and that's like an interesting. The different dynamic in this league would be like normally I would just foul like crazy if I was playing Cabal Vision or something, but here I want him to be as strong as possible now that I have the win. You know?
Exactly. Yeah. I think that's a good decision. You'll probably get a lot of people catch some slack within the Discord app if you say you weren't fouling these guys as much as possible. But I think it's a good decision. You want them strong, and you want them to actually start competing against the teams in the next matches. So it was awesome. I think one thing that kind of that kind of showed that you kind of were able to use your will to win this game was you really utilized your strength as much as possible. Of your 41 blocks that you generated, 11 were 3 dice. So over 25% of the blocks that you instituted were 3 dice. So I think that was fantastic. You generated a lot of pals. You kind of prevented the old 1 and 9, which can really hurt a lot of Nurgle teams. I think right now you're just on 2 rerolls. So I think you played the game beautifully. I think you outcoached Pimple Jams, who is a really good coach. We've seen him play really well earlier in the season, and you just kind of slowly grinded those elves into dust, and you really kind of inflicted your will. And I think that's something that the division really needs to pay attention to, and something that I expect to see you do more often through the rest of the season.
Well, thank you.
And so we can see here 41 blocks, 2 KOs, 3 injuries. You were able to kill a Wessler. I think it was Alistair Spankmeister. Great name. Rest in peace. Looking
He's
at
kind of alive halfway on my team.
Did he?
Yeah.
Damn it, I'm spacing here. He rose from the dead, and he's on your team now.
He is my new rodder.
Yes, at least he's still alive. That's fantastic. All right, well that guy's awesome. So I'm gonna have to start paying attention to that.
One thing that happens, like a ritual for me, whenever I get a new guy, he has to like earn his stripes. Like he's fallen my first turn, probably next game. Like he has to. Yeah. He can't be part of the team, you know.
yeah. He doesn't get to sleep with the rest of the teams. He doesn't get to eat.
Until you foul, you're not one of us.
Yeah, that's fantastic. That's good. So, old Spankmeister, you got some work to do in the next few games. Just 13 blocks generated from the elves. I feel like this is a little bit misleading. They did try to generate a lot of blocks in the first half. They do have 2 guard pieces that were able to let them generate blocks, but the second half they really kind of abandoned trying to throw any kind of block dice at all. So it kind of snowballed on them after that point. So yeah, only 13 blocks, no removals, but it really just kind of snowballed on them. Looking at the SPP here, like I said, you were able to get one of the Horny Crickets with a touchdown. I think at 2 Kaz's as well.
He was a hero.
Yeah, and that's fantastic, man. Trying to get any kind of SPP on those Warriors can be a pain in the ass. So that's awesome. And then pretty good MVP also with the Bleeding Kid be the Pestigore. And then all the SPP that the owners got was on their Blitzer, which is a great piece to get it on, and he was able to get a level up. It's his best piece, the Dunstan Dolphin Flogger. He's been good for them the whole year, and he able to level up and get diving tackle. So already a level 3 Blitzer there on his side. Quick look at the dice rolls. For the block dice, 28 pals, 37 pushes, 26 skulls for you. A lot of pushes for you. But like I said, being able to generate those 3 die blocks really was able to maximize so few block dice thrown by Theoninus that is not really worth to take a big look at. So congratulations on the 1-0 win that was able to push you towards the top of the leaderboard. You are right now on top. However, you're still tied in points with one of the Skaven teams, as we'll dive into. So next thing we got is exactly that Skaven team that's tied with you. And this is Storm's Rat against Teen Stars, and he was able to generate a 2-1 victory over Grindel's safety hazards. First thing that we kind of notice is diving into the stats here is 48 blocks generated, 4 KOs, 2 injuries, 31 blocks for the Goblins, 1 KO, 3 injuries. They were able to kill a man. Once again, I'm not quite sure. I need to go back and actually see who died this match. I don't think it was anyone too important, but I could be mistaken there. One thing that was awesome to see is that really good SPP for both teams here. We got a total of 14 total for the Underworld, and what is this, 9, 11, 17 total for the Rats, and so this team is just really developing very well.
Really nice.
Yeah, that's one of the better teams, and actually Razzlestorm is who we've had. He was the first kind of guest we had with one of the players on the recap, and he was my prediction to win the division. I think he's still gonna be my prediction to win the division. I think the Rats start off so well that and he's developing them so well as also, so that they're gonna be kind of tough to take down. Quick look at the block dice here, looking at Rats against Teen Stars. 33 pals versus 39 skulls, 38 pushes. Pretty good even distribution, can't really complain too much about those dice. Looking at the Goblins, 29 pals, 18 skulls, 21 pushes, lots of pals for the Goblin team. So they definitely got some favorable block dice there. But ultimately, it came down to just too much power for the Rats. It's very tough to try to keep them out of the end zone. I think the Goblins saw that today, or this week. Next one we have up is your next week's opponent, which we'll take a deep dive into with the Squeaky Blinders and Random Maximus versus off Our Name is Legion's Morg Smashes. So, man, I wish I need to go back and watch this replay. This is against two kind of really good teams within the division. Definitely one of the premier weeks to two of the top teams that could be competing for the division lead in the playoff spot at the end of the season. Quick look at the stats. 47 blocks, 4 KOs, 2 Kazs for the Orcs and Morg Smashes versus just 1 KO and 1 injury for the Rats. It's very tough to kind of get through that AV9. Quick look at the SPP, 13 total for the Orcs. Not as much as you'd think. You figure that they probably would have generated some more casualties. They didn't get as many removals, I feel like, as you would really need to be able to try to generate enough scores or stop the Rats from scoring themselves. Looking at the Skaven team, 11, 17 total SPP with 9 going to Gutter Runner Michael Gray. So, man, once again, those Skaven teams, they're developing like crazy. Looking at the block dice for the Orcs here, 35 pals, which is pretty good against 33 skulls, 37 pushes, and for the Rats, 24 pals, 16 skulls, and 19 pushes. So really favorable block dice for the Skaven here. So congratulations to them. That was a really tough win for them. And next one we have up was previous to this week, or diving into last week, we had the number 1 team in the division versus the number 10 team in the division, and this was the Torture Club, the Nurgle team, the other Nurgle team within the division, faces off the Bretonnians Knights of T. Looking at this here, the Bretonnians, who were in last place, came away from a 2-0 victory. What are your initial thoughts here, Atomics?
I honestly am not surprised. This guy, I got lucky to play right away, and he had like 2 blitzers out or something, and I still tied him. He's like super bashy, and the level ups he's got on his players, like his team is scary.
He's good. We covered him last week, and my gosh, he has some incredible level ups on his blitzers. So this was the other team that I was able to catch a replay of. So I'll be able to do a brief recap. So what we saw was against this team was that the Torture Club received the ball, and the kickoff event is immediately a rock thrown that kills Mango T, the wrestler for the Bretonians, and he appos into dead. So first action is Rock kills one of his wrestlers, appo into dead.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, awful start for the Knights of T, which makes their 2-0 victory even more impressive. Yeah, so kind of a slow start after that. They were able to the Torture Club and the Nurgle team was kind of biding their time, trying to generate some blocks. Weren't able to get to advance the ball as well as they did. They were a bit aggressive and went to the one side of the half. Kind of attempted a bit of a half cage against the sideline. And the Bretonians were immediately able to take advantage by doing a chain push, which was able to surf their ball carrier. So it was a great play on the Gorst, who's the coach for the Knights of T. They were able to recover from there. Well, the Torture Club were able to respond by able to knocking the ball free after that, but they kind of immediately lost the ball the next turn. The Strength 4 blitzer, REBBL is his name, was able to recover. And at the very last-ditch effort, one of the Agility 4 Pestigors, Dr. Black, attempts a one die, and it results into a skull, which led to him being casualtied into a miss next game. So already one of the Agility 4 Pestigors was out for the rest of the match and next match. The last turn, REBBL was able to make a 3+ dodge to score to make them go up 1-0. So the start of the second half, the Breds were able to receive the ball, and kind of immediately on turn 10, they were able to do kind of a wide swing, and they attempted a 4+ handoff, which actually worked from one blitzer to another, and he was able to kind of swing the ball to the other side of the field and do kind of a half potato. But there was one Pestigor, Dr. Oakson, the other Agility 4 Pestigor, because of course this team has two, was able to kind of play as a safety. Well, he immediately sacked the ball carrier, and the Agility 4 Pestigor was able to pick up the ball. From there, Dr. Oakson, the Pestigor, kind of ran down the sidelines and potatoed a bit, kind of ran down the sidelines with no protection at all. And once again, REBBL, the Strength 4 Blitzer, was able to come through and sack the ball carrier. And after that point, I feel like Truck was starting to get a little desperate. On turn 12, he tried 2 warrior dodges, which both worked. He also tried a bunch of GFIs. It just kind of started to get desperate a bit. He wasn't really positioning his players as well. Didn't do as many kind of safe turns before his actions. The Breds were able to kind of pick up the ball. Or if they failed to pick up the ball, then the Agility 4 Pestigor failed to pick up the ball. Then the Agility 4 Pestigor got surfed. And then from there, it was kind of easy pickings. The Breds were able to kind of control and pick up the ball and kind of run it in towards the end. So ultimately, the Torture Club had their chances, but really they're just kind of too careless with the ball, getting their ball carrier surfed in the first half and kind of running the Pestigor without protection in the second half. And really, the Knights of T and Gorsh was just kind of took their advantage with their speed and movement, was able to kind of move away from all that strength, and they had some kind of fortunate, timely rolls. And so the Breds ultimately get their first win of the season, which I predicted before last week. I feel like that kind of sums up this division very well, to where any week you can see the last place team come across and have a 2-0 victory over the first place team, which is awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, I love it. I really love this division. You don't see that with all the divisions within REBBL. Quick look at the stats. Pretty easy block, or even blocks across the board. A lot more removals from the Brett side, which was fortunate for them. The only SPP the Nurgle was able to generate was from the MVP, which is kind of tough to see. They also saw their dirty player get a strength bust, so I assume he's been fired. For the Bretts, pretty good SPP. They got 10, 15 across the board, and really the strength 4 blitzer was really all the difference for them. Quick look at the block dice: 30 pals, 30 skulls for the Nurgle, 31 pushes, about as even distribution as you can get. 28 pals, 21 skulls, 36 pushes for the Bretts, so decent block dice for them. Allow them to kind of help them push them along for the victory. So, while we try to catch our breath here a little bit, looking into this next week, like I said, we do have one match that was already played, and that was BDX Bosco's Stump Force and the Dwarf team. They came out with a 1-0 victory over the Pimple Jams, a few Ornery Ornerists, and the Pro Elves. So, we won't dive into that one. We'll leave that for next week. The next one that we have here is going to be Razzlestorm's Rats against Team Stars versus Chaos's Famous Wizards and the High Elves. Cool thing about this matchup is that kind of both high-flying teams that like to score early, and we've actually had both those coaches on for previous recaps as well, so I'll have to check that one out. And then what we have up is the Rowdy Rebel Rousers versus against Random Maximus Squeaky Blinders and the other Skaven team. So before we dive into kind of each team and their development, what are your initial thoughts going into this week's game?
Well, Skaven always is a tough matchup, so I pretty much just have to keep them from scoring twice. A 1-1 tie is a success for me, I think, against Skaven this early in my development.
Yeah. I think a tie isn't a terrible situation here. Ideally, you're able to, whenever you get the ball, whether it's first half or second half better, you do something similar that you did this previous week, and just kind of grind down the Rats until they kind of suffocate and die.
Yep.
So probably not try to stray too far away from the game plan you had last week. Next match we have the Knights of T and the Bretonian team, coached by Gorst, who has a bit of momentum going and facing off the Underworld and the Safety Hazards. And the last one we have kind of the other Nurgle team with the Torture Club, who's missing one of their Agility 4 Pestigores against the Orcs, coached by Our Name is Legion, Mork Smashes. So, real quick, trying to dive into some of the predictions here. Rats against Team Stars and Razzlestorm versus Famous Wizards. I think I'm going to continue riding Razzlestorm through a lot of these matches throughout the season. I think he's a great coach with a great team. I think ultimately he's going to come out on top here. What are your thoughts, Tomix? Hey man, can you hear me? You're breaking up there a little bit.
Am I there now?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. Yeah, I think he's a really good coach, and he has really good skill ups so far. So he is definitely a favorite, probably over everybody so far.
Yeah. And so with your matchup, we won't let you predict this one, but I think I'm gonna go. I think I'm gonna go with you on this one. I think I saw you perform the game plan that you needed the previous week against the Elves. I think you're going to probably do something similar. I think your Mighty Blow is going to fire. I'm picking you on this one. The next matchup with Gorse and the Knights of T versus the Safety Hazards. I think I'm going to go with the Knights of T here. I think a lot of momentum's going at them. I think this is probably a team that is to be reckoned with and could fight for a playoff spot at the end of the season. I think they have one of the better teams out there in general. And I think if Gorse can just coach just as good as his opponent, I think that his team is going to allow him to win a lot of games. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, I think we need to get a bounty out on that strength 4 piece because that guy is a monster.
Herbal. Something's up with something's in that herbal tea, man.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people will be trying to fetch some of that tea. So, and the last one we got is going to be Trucks, the Torture Club versus the Mork Smashes. This one's tricky. I think Truck missing a Pestigore really kind of puts his team. It's going to be tough for him. I think the Mork Smashes have a really good Orc team. I think early on, I think the Orcs are going to be a little bit favored. It's kind of a little bit more reliable skills. I think they're going to be able to match up fairly well strength-wise. And I think the Orcs are going to come out on top. What are your thoughts here?
I think the Orcs have a slight advantage, but I think something that's actually going to play to the Nurgle's advantage is that he only has one agility Pestigore. Like I feel like he kind of gets confused what he wants to do with it instead of just focusing on it. So I think it'll be an advantage, but I think it's going to come out as a 1-1 draw, though.
Interesting. I like that, predicting the draw. So I guess before I dive into your teams, what are your thoughts about the agility for the agility for Rotter on the other Nurgle team? Would you ever take the plus agility on a Rotter?
I think it's awesome. Yeah, if I didn't say I had my ball carrier die or something, and then I happened to get that, I would take it for sure. not in his position, I wouldn't have taken it.
All right, so diving into Rando Maximus and the Skaven squad. All right, man. So this is going to be your opponent. I wanted to dive into there and look at a bit of their development. Now, this seems interesting because through the Greenhorn, they didn't have a lot of success as far as winning matchups, but they were able to get some critical level ups. And since the season started, they are. Let me go back to the leaderboard here. They are 2 wins, 1 draw, 1 loss. So they've kind of came out and actually started winning some matchups during the season. And I think it's a good coach. He was in REBBL last year as well, so has some experience. Quick look at his team. The 2 Storm Vermins with 10 and 9 SPP right off the bat, getting some Mighty Blow. Has a chance to remove some players from just that. Looking at the gutters, already 3 gutters with level ups here. We got the Finn Colby with the 2 heads, was able to kind of roll the double right off the bat. Just 1 SPP away from getting a 2nd level. Next one is Michael Gray, the one that got, I think, 9 SPP the previous matchups. This is your Blood Step Gutter. Just kind of a total annoyance, and it's going to be really tough to get on the ground, and really tough to kind of push him anywhere you want to go. Next, you got your Wrestle Dodds, Ada Colby, more your defensive specialist, and finally you got your rookie gutter, and rookie gutters themselves are pretty good. What are your thoughts on this Skaven team and their development, and what do you think is going to be kind of the most difficult part facing this team?
Yeah, I think all of his skill ups are very solid picks. You can't go wrong with those, and yeah, they're always tough. Try to get those gutter runners out is about your only chance, or otherwise they're scoring 3 on you.
Yeah, I feel like just a team of 4 gutter runners can be tough to face, especially if you don't have any tackle on your team. Now, one thing that I noticed, first thing that I'm looking at with this team is that he has 5 defenseless linemen, AV 7, Agility 3 linemen that are just really there for you to kind of punch in the face. So I think that's some juicy SPP opportunities for you and your Mighty Blow team. And if you start whittling down those linemen, then you're going to start exposing some of those more important pieces later on in the match.
Yeah, definitely. Try to pull out the juicy pieces into the open.
Yes, exactly. Next thing we're going to be looking at is your squad here. So we have an 11-team Nurgle team. We have a team value of 1270, 110,000 cash. My first thought is looking at your 2 team rerolls. Are you saving money for your 3rd reroll?
Yeah, definitely. I can't get greedy and buy another Pestigore. I need the reroll.
I agree.
I've rolled like fairly fortunate in these 4 weeks, so I'm past due, overdue.
That's awesome. I'm in a bit of a similar situation as you. I'm Chaos Dwarves, and kind of their most common start is with 2 rerolls, and I think it's also 140, maybe 130 for a reroll. And last match I ended up drawing, and I needed to roll a 2 on the winnings, and of course I rolled a 1, so another match for me with 2 rerolls.
Yeah,
so
it's rough.
Yeah, it is rough. So, but I can't complain too much. My block dice are gonna be a little bit more reliable with you. With I think I have 6 of the blockers or the dwarves on my team.
Yeah, definitely, so that helps.
Yeah. So first thing that stands out when looking at your team is going to be you have 2 really badass Nurgle warriors that everyone in the division should be scared of. You have Sandoon, who is really just kind of from the start just been able to been a beast, just putting a lot of casts in, block, Mighty Blow, Nurgle warrior. You have Horny Cricket, the Mighty Blow block, who was able to. Did he level up last game? I don't think he had.
Yeah, he's the one that he just had a crazy game. He had 2 Kazs and a touchdown.
Yeah, fantastic, man. So you have kind of 2 killers right off the bat. Your other 2 Nurgle warriors, you have one that's just 1 casualty away, the other 2, an MVP or 2 casualties away. If you were to, let's say right now, get a level up on one of these 2 guys, what are you thinking as far as developing the other 2 warriors throughout the rest of the season?
I feel like they need block first, like that's always number 1. But these guys, I want to have 2 kind of more control ones where I don't know yet if I want to get tentacles or not, unless they get a strength up, maybe. But I'd like these to be more block guard first.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic. I think that's a good idea. Ornan, your kind of star Pestigore and one of your main ball carriers, just 4 SPP away. Already Blaz, you're able to get that double to make him kind of block dodge, which is fantastic. Ideally, you see some sort of level up with him. Movement, strength, agility, anything to kind of make him the complete ball carrier, to make him a real...
yeah, strength one time, please.
Yeah. I feel like with Nurgle and Chaos, and maybe even a little bit of the Chaos Dwarves, is that you really do want to see some sort of stat up on one of your Pestigores, just allow it to make him kind of a badass ball carrier. But even as he is, Blaz helps. Moving 6 compared to the rest of the team. He'll work for now, but I think
yeah, definitely.
You'll be gunning for a stat up at some point. The next Pestigore, Bleeding Hippie, MVP away from his second level, and you took Tackle as his first skill, which I wouldn't say is not conventional. However, I think within your division, especially facing some Pro Elves, facing Rats, I still think you have the other Rat team that you have to face.
Yeah, I actually played, so that's part of the schedule, is I play them back-to-back weeks. I play Razzle next week. So I leveled this guy up specifically for them, like I'm going for the win, so...
Yeah, no, I think that's a great idea. It really is tough. I think if you didn't know who you were playing, maybe you were playing Champ's Ladder, maybe you take Block, maybe you try to make another killer with Mighty Blow or something, but knowing who's on your schedule and you trying to actually gun for some victories, I think Tackle's the right choice there.
Yeah, so that's probably that has to be my favorite part about REBBL. Besides the community, it's nice. Everyone's really kind, but being able to know you can actually plan, and it takes a lot more thought than Block, Mighty Blow, pile on.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Which, don't get me wrong, I'm headed towards.
It's gonna happen, just not right now. Next year, watch. Bleeding Hippie's gonna lead the division in casualties. Calling it now.
Yep.
Looking at the Beast of Nurgle, you do have a guard Beast of Nurgle, which is fantastic. Ideally, you roll a double on him at some point. Obviously, try to get block, but if not, if you don't roll a double, what do you think about taking next?
Well, I would take Stand Firm on just a normal, but preferably I don't level him. Like, I really don't. He's with just guard, like that's the best piece in the game for 160k. So the other stuff, Stand Firm is nice, but it doesn't really add much. It starts to bloat him instead of he's just the best value and so strong.
Yeah, that's interesting. I actually like that a bit. You know, it's similar with a lot of teams that they kind of don't want to either like level up their linemen. Maybe you're looking at like Norse linemen or something, like you just don't really want to level them up because they are sufficient as is. So that's interesting. You have that take on that Beast of Nurgle. I was kind of looking ahead to their next level, but you're pretty happy where he's at right now, which is good. And with Nurgle, I think one of their issues is that they do get so expensive. They kind of hit their peak towards the high 1800s, 1900s, 2000s, and already being kind of TV aware, I think is a good thing for you in the long run. Next thing we have is the 4 Rookie Rotters. Not a lot of SPP on them, which is just fine. If you were to get kind of a leveled up Rotter right away, what would you think about grabbing on them?
It's always fun getting other things, but they need a Dirty Player. It's too good. So,
would you take Dirty Player before you get a bench?
Yeah, I think so. So going down to 10 is worth it. I like to play with 12. Like, I think that's a good spot for Nurgle. But yeah, I would still file with 30 player with 11.
Yeah. Oh, and you had a guard piece, right? That died last game. Is that correct?
Yeah, which that stunk, because having a guard rotter is, I would take that first over everything. It's so good on having an extra one.
Guard rotters are here for a good time, man, not a long time.
Yeah, like Nurgle really doesn't. You really don't need that much guard. I feel like, unless you're playing like a dwarf team that every single person has guard, but you don't really like need it as much because you can get strength advantage everywhere. So
Yeah, yeah, I agree with that. And there I see my boy Alistair Spankmeister. Looks good in the kit, man. I think he only has half a foot right now or something, but
I feel like I should make him sweet. Like he's gonna be like he's gonna take that agility and be a ball carrier, or be a safety with wrestle or something. He's gonna do something. He wants to be a star.
I like that, man. I like that. So this is a quick look at the Rowdy Rebel Rousers, coached by Atomics, who I have here with me. 3 wins, 4 draws, 1 loss in their career. Looking at the leaderboard, 2 wins, 2 draws, no loss. He's right up there at the top. So I think it was a good time to get you on the recap. Well, that's it, man. We've covered it all. So I like I said, I really do appreciate your time to hop on here with the recap. I think it really does make it a lot better for these coaches to join and have the other coaches kind of hear from you and your thoughts. Well, do you have any parting words? Anything you want to say before we let it all go?
Yeah, I just mostly want to thank like all my competitors and you guys as well. Like it's a very enjoyable experience where all the coaches seem to be pretty involved, and there's just a lot of competition. It's very fun. So thank you to everybody, and yeah, I appreciate you guys doing the recaps.
Yeah, man, I think that's good. That's some wise words, and it makes it so easy to cover. I was really lucky to grab this division here. So, all right, everybody, I appreciate everyone's time here, and we'll be catching you next week. And I'll need a new guest for next week. So if you haven't been on before, get a hold of me. I'd love to have you on. Yeah, thank you all.